We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcomed to this live streaming. Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Questions relating to the technique. Place your attention in the nerve, delicate as the lotus thread, in the center of your spinal column. In such be transformed. I had spoken in detail on this sutra. It relates to the sexual relationship as well. In this light, there are certain questions. I will take one by one. First question: how do I consciously apply this sutra as an ongoing meditation during sexual union, as the above experience happened spontaneously? How do I witness myself during sex act? Witnessing is quite difficult during the act, as I usually get carried away with the pleasure and become one with my partner. The sutra mentions in the end, in such be transformed. Can you explain how transformation takes place? What spiritual cleaning technique one can do if they continue to have multiple partners? Will that mitigate the negative effect of sex? These are the different questions. The first question, I am taking the last one. What energy or spiritual techniques can one do if they continue to have multiple partners? Will that mitigate the negative effect of sex? Awareness is the key factor in everything. If you are aware, nothing else is needed. But awareness is not something that you can get it overnight. It takes a long time to become aware moment to moment. But the process can begin. Someone insults you, says something, ego is hurt. During that moment, you are not aware. As a social person, afterwards, the person apologizes you, says sorry, you accept his apology because this is how you operate as well. So awareness takes a long time, and in order for awareness to be effective, you have to remember that we are not aliens nor as strangers join. We are bound to each other by a causeless force. You are pounding a nail on the wall. You hold the nail with the left hand, and with the right hand you use the hammer. If you are right-hand person, and by mistake the hammer hits the thumb of the left hand, Do you tell the left hand thumb sorry or ask for forgiveness, or left hand thumb says that you must apologize to me? You hit me, as the child says, Daddy, you hit me, you have to tell me sorry. Does this happen? You look into yourself and answer this question. The left hand does not seek apology. You can say that the hand is unconscious, it cannot speak. Then the mind that connects the two, does the mind tell the right hand or act and says the apology? No. We consider this that thumb cannot speak, so it cannot ask for forgiveness. But the fact is otherwise. Both our hands, the one who by mistake hit the thumb of the other hand, is part of one organic harmony. Mind connects to both the left and the right hand. Mind can ask for forgiveness on behalf of the left thumb and the right hand, and mind can use the right hand thumb to apologize. What is this mind that connects the left hand thumb and the right hand thumb? In the same way, there is this cosmic force that connects me to you, or you to someone else, you to the plants. Are you aware of that? But we take it for granted that how can the left hand thumb seek forgiveness, seek an apology, and how right hand can respond to it. All it does, it throws the hammer and holds on to the thumb of the left hand and stops the work and get the medicine or something like that. First and the foremost thing, this is easy. This is natural, and naturally it happens that you will not continue. If the pain is too much, then you will immediately leave the thumb and then stop the work and take care of the left hand. So when the left hand thumb is being taken care of, it is natural. Do we do something like that when this situation happens between the two people? Even if you go to help with the medicine or something to the person who got hurt by you by mistake, he is full of anger. He says, leave me. First you hit me and now you want to take care of me. That is the kind of understanding that we have. With this understanding, do you think the awareness can grow? And if awareness is there, you have to practice it right here with that. At that moment, the thought coming, the left and the right hand is the part of one synergistic harmony. There is a whole organism that is you. Your left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot, they are all connected with one another. A deficiency or lack of efficiency in one part affects the whole body function. A little impairing in the eyesight affects the walk, and so on and so forth. So you have to practice it from there. First you practice it from there, then you practice it on a day-to-day basis. When you thank the shoes that protect you during the day? You are walking on the road, wearing the shoes. That day, for some unforeseen reasons, you put on your shoes instead of slippers, and all of a sudden you are going, your foot hits the stone, so the shoe has protected. Do you thank your shoes at that moment? The thought of that never comes to your mind. Practice of awareness does not mean that you have to practice it with men, women. You can practice it. You are the one who has to practice, develop awareness in you. You can use it with things like your shoes, your clothes, this morning, your digital system, laptop or iPhone is working efficiently, connecting you to this live streaming. Do you thank that? You become aware of it only when it is not working efficiently. How do you practice awareness? You have to start it there. If you are aware, anger is impossible, and compassion becomes a natural outcome. The same energy that was becoming anger becomes compassion. If you are aware, you enter into sex because you have not experienced love within. If you have the same energy that could transform into love is used in the act of sex. If you are aware, it's not that there is a process. During the act of sex, you can become aware. And if you are aware, then act of sex becomes irrelevant. It can happen either way. But through the act of sex, while you are in the act of sex, why do we enter into? There is some desires arising. The mind begins to release certain things. It has become important, necessary for you to enter into the act. You are carried away. That time practicing awareness is very difficult. And how to practice awareness is watching the breath, watching. If you start watching your breath, that is the only and most effective technique of being aware. If you start watching your breath movement, in anger, your breath is shallow. In moments of sex, the same thing happens. If you start observing your breath movement and it slows down, what it does, it affects the brain waves movement. When there is a chaotic condition, the brain waves moves much faster. There are 4 types: delta, gamma, theta. When it comes to delta, it is below 4 vibrations per second. So it is interconnected, the breath movement, watching the breath. Your breath slows down, and a moment comes in when you feel that you are not breathing at all. If you are aware, sex disappears, love arises. The same energy that was becoming sexuality through unawareness. Sexuality or sex is the outcome of unawareness. You are so much interested in sex that you have discovered love in you, and you intend seeking love out of the mud of sex. It can happen only if, because lotus arises out of mud. Love can arise out of sex only if you enter into sex out of awareness. And a person who is aware, he need not go into sex unless there is a need for procreation. That's why the Sanatan way seeks the necessity of sex only because of the procreation. If you are during the act of sex, you get so much lost into it that it becomes very difficult for you to watch your breathing. When someone does something and anger is creeping in you, the breath becomes, watching the breath becomes difficult. Instead of getting lost into the act, watch where all this coming from. Something disappears when you are aware. All that is unconscious, all that is unwanted disappears when you become aware, and something appears. Death disappears, deathlessness appears. This does not mean the body, you will not die, but you will experience deathlessness, and the fear of death will disappear. Ego disappears, egolessness appears. You disappear as a separate entity, and God appears. God means I am no longer separate. I am part of this synergistic harmony. Awareness has its own ways. If you are aware, you will not be able to do many things you have been doing up till now, and you will be able to do many things that you have never thought of doing before. If you are aware, you cannot be angry, because anger can exist only in a state of unconsciousness. Unconsciousness is the prerequisite for anger to come in. Unconsciousness, unaware of whatsoever is happening in the mind, is the first necessity for the development of sex. Why do lovers find communication among themselves impossible? As such, communication is very difficult. Each individual is conditioned in a unique way. I had posted something on the Facebook. Devil is not a reality. It does not exist. Devil is the absence of love, faith, and trust in God or godliness. Someone made a comment, and in the comment said that the word devil comes from the Sanskrit word Dev, and yet still there remains a duality. This was the comment. So I told the person, in response, it was important for me to respond to the person that you seem to have, I have never met this person, I never knew. I told her that you seem to have a Christian upbringing where devil exists along with God as a parallel, continuing the parallel kingdom. Just as we have a black economy, black money that continues as a parallel economy in any country. But you seem to have association with Osho. Because of that, you gave this interpretation that the word devil comes from the Sanskrit word Dev. This is an analogy of the mind. In the first place, the word devil does not exist in Sanatan terminology, but the part of Hinduism that has the Christian influence or the Muslim influence speaks of devil. It does not speak, it speaks only of light. Darkness is complete absence of light. That is, if you have to give the definition of darkness. So the two individuals are conditioned differently. Now this person responded back and said, yes, you are right. I did not know the person. What you wrote, what you speak, explains your whole upbringing, whatsoever is going on. What I said that triggered something in that person to respond in that, to make a statement or comment in that way. So, two individuals are conditioned differently. Therefore, communications becomes difficult. Communication between lovers is impossible because neither of the two have discovered the source of love within, and each is conditioned differently. When you go into love with your spouse, do you have the same understanding? You go into the act because of certain bodily needs. Do you and your spouse understand that there is a synergistic harmony and we are part of one organic whole? No, we do not. Wife thinks in her own way. The two think differently. And none of the two has experienced love within. Love is the union. Love unites you with the whole. Communication between lovers is impossible because neither of the two has discovered the source of love within and are conditioned differently. Love remains only on the surface unless the reservoir of love is discovered within. No communication is ever possible. And when you enter into sex with multiple partners, each you remember you are interacting with your wife, with your spouse, one person who has a totally different kind of upbringing, different kind of thinking. Does you and your wife have the same way of thinking? Looking at the circumstances and situations when these arise? No, it is not. And when you are interacting with multiple partners with different kind of upbringing, what happens? Confusion happens. Sexual energy affects the oral energy creatively. When you enter into sex relationship meditatively, how you can enter into meditatively? You have been practicing every day the breath watching. We understand the word ornithology. Ornithology is the art of watching the birds. We go in hours and hours, we watch the birds. And we call it ourselves as ornithologists. But do you have anything? Have you learned to watch your breath? You are sitting down, are you watching your breath? No. How can you? You cannot enter at that moment or remembering or chanting the mantra that we are all part of one. No, it cannot happen at that moment. You cannot enter unless you practice it and you are aware. Every moment you are aware, you observe. Even as I am speaking to you, my focus is on my breath movement and it is very slow, as if there is no breath movement. The words are emerging out of meditative state of awareness. So it has to be practiced first, then when anger is coming into you, the breath movement will act as a security guard. when act of sex is becoming, the desire is coming to the surface and becoming more and more prominent, the same breath movement will act as a security guard at that moment. Sexual energy affects the oral energy creatively when you enter into sex act meditatively, or even if between husband and wife, a meditative interaction at intimate level transcends the oral energy of the couple. This is the very essence of male-female relation. It is only at this level sex is allowed. Then sex is no more sex. Otherwise, sex remains nothing more than a sneeze. Meditation gives it a new dimension beyond the known. Otherwise, sex is mere cerebral act. When energy reaches the cerebrum, one becomes slave to this. That is why we are all enter into sex as slaves. Awareness is lost, and in place there is envelope of unconsciousness. In such a state, when you enter into sexual relation with anyone, it affects your oral energy. It can transmit you psychologically good or bad things of the others. You said that you want to have this sexual relationship with the partners, with these tantric partners. We are living in a society where outside the extramarital relations are not accepted psychologically by the females specifically. If your spouse comes to know that you have extramarital relationship, it is not approved, and it becomes difficult for you after that to have communion with your spouse or your married wife. It is a difficult preposition. And wives are never interested in practicing the tantric way, where how to use the act of sex to transform the oral energy. They consider sex as an obligation, as a part of marriage, that they have to enter into the sexual act. But if tantric technique is practiced between husband and wife, that is the best way, because you are interacting with that person for a longer period of time. And it becomes easier, but it is not usually easy. Woman feels that she is being exploited. Sex is nothing more than a sneeze otherwise. Meditation gives it a new dimension beyond the known. And when you enter into sex with different partners, It affects your oral energy and can transmit you psychologically the good and bad things of the others. It is therefore essential to pay attention to who you are sharing this intimate energy with. Intimacy at this level intertwines your oral energy with the oral energy of the person who you are sharing this intimate relationship with. When you enter the intimate relation unconsciously, these powerful connections, regardless of how insignificant you may think they are, leave spiritual rubbish, particularly within the people who do not practice any type of cleaning, physical, emotional, or spiritual aspects. The more you interact intimately with someone and the deeper the connection, the more the two auras get intertwined with one another. And this creates a problem. The aura of someone who sleeps with multiple people carries around these diverse multiple energies within that creates a serious problem. And in the general religious terminology, we say that the person is possessed by a spirit. These create tremendous confusions within. What you may not realize is that others can feel that energy, which can repel positive energy and attract negative energy into your aura and life. This is dangerous. Therefore, never sleep with someone you would not want to be. And even if at any time you do not feel comfortable to share such intimate moments with your spouse, never enter, because then you will be gripped with the unconsciousness, and it will affect your oral energy. The aggregate of such moments certainly damage your auric energy. Each female and male are partners on the journey of spiritual growth, sharing their oral energies with one another. This is the essence of male-female relationship. They want to begin the journey. Their love and trust keep them together. Their intuition guides them in transcendence of oral energies through sexual relation. Their intuition guides them in transcendence of the oral energy through the act of sex. When energy reaches the pinnacle, that is the ultimate male-female relation, or you can call the ultimate orgasmic experience. And when you have attained to that peak of oral energy, they consult with each other. They are more friends than lovers. Friends not like walking friends. Love have transcended to a new dimension beyond the known. They laugh a lot. They are equals. operating at the same plane. That is what a spiritual partnership, a partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth is, and it is the essence of intimate male-female relation. No other relation between male and female is accepted. In each relation, the highest calling is to lead one another to one's innerness so as to unite with the ultimate. Through my interaction with you, I should be able to connect you to that ultimate source. The lowest calling of a woman is to seduce, separating man from his innerness, leaving him aimlessly wandering. A man's highest calling is to protect women so she is free to walk the earth unharmed. Man's lowest calling is to ambush the force, to ambush and force his way into the life of a woman. Then there are few other questions. How do I witness myself during the sex act? At that moment when anger is coming into you, it is very difficult for you to witness. You have to practice it before. As I said, breath watching is the most important act. You are lying down on the bed. You are sitting on the office desk. You watch how your breathing is. Are you aware of the breathing? Or it is going like a bellow very fast? Yes, there are certain times when you want to overcome a certain pain. Then you use the chaotic breathing. When you want to get rid of something out of you, there is a pain, and you want to get rid of the pain, you do the chaotic breathing. You want to create the emotional purge. Consciously you are entering into that, but you observe when there is anger, there is sex, desire. Your breathing becomes very chaotic, fast. So you have to practice while sitting down and watch your breathing. Just you can do it with the closed eyes or with the eyes open. It becomes easier. And then slowly and slowly you develop the witnessing consciousness in you. Witnessing is quite difficult as such during the sex act, because you are so much gripped with that energy that it becomes very difficult to witness. And the person says, witnessing is very difficult, as I usually get carried away with the pleasure and become one with the partner. When you are aware during the act, first you have to practice awareness, practice breathing, and through that you are practicing awareness. And when you are practicing awareness, you learn the witnessing consciousness. And then when you interact into the act, the transformation from sexual energy to auric energy naturally happens. sexual energy transcends to auric energy, and you carry a totally different kind of aura around you. A totally different kind of aura around you. It's magical, it is penetrating, and that is the only way. So these were the questions relating to the Vigyan Bhairav technique that says, place your whole attention in the nerve, delicate as the lotus thread, in the center of your spinal column, and in such be transformed. During the act of sex, this is what the person said. One night with my partner, I had a very deep sexual intercourse, and both of us had the intimate, intense orgasm, after which I fell into sleep as men usually do. The next day my partner and I were sharing the experience. She told me that after the orgasmic experience, she touched my back and felt a powerful electrical charge from my spine. But this happens unconsciously, because you have not practiced. You think that using the mud of sex you can allow the lotus to grow around that. No, it cannot happen there. From every mud lotus does not grow, and in every mud lotus flower is not planted. You have to practice breath watching, just as we use the word ornithology, the science of watching the birds and their movements. And the person who does this is known as ornithologist. You have to start watching your breath. Then slowly and slowly things will begin. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day. Tomorrow we will continue the other techniques which are necessary, which relates to penetrate the inner center more deeply. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.